Jeremiah Hales with Empower Physical Therapy. Today I wanted to make a video on a proper golf warm-up. It's one of the most common questions I get from clients and messages online. What is what's an easy way to warm up before I play? I want to stretch, but I don't know how to do it. And it's actually pretty simple. I developed this warm-up a number of years ago, and I wanted to share it with you today. It's a combination of using a golf club and also some stretches on the ground. Of course, the stretching on the ground you're probably not going to do at the golf course, but you certainly can do that at home before you play or after you play. But definitely the stretches with the golf club are things you can do on the range or while you're playing. You know, you don't have to do an entire stretching routine while you're playing, but you could pick apart and pick and choose stretches from this routine to do before a shot if you're starting to feel like your body's getting a little tight. So the first stretch that I really like is working on side bending. Side bending is really important in the golf swing. So you're going to take a golf club, you're going to hold it over your head, and what I'd like you to do is have your feet about shoulder width apart, stomach is pulled in, and you're going to start to bend sideways from the upper body. So from that shoulder plane, you're going to bend to the side, and you're going to feel some compression on the right side if you're bending to the right, and you should feel some expansion of your rib cage on the left side. You're going to hold for about 5 to 10 seconds, then we're going to bring it back up, and we're going to go the other way. We're just trying to loosen up the rib cage a little bit, loosen up that mid-thoracic spine. It's really important in the golf swing, and I'll show you why. If I side bend to the right, I'm laterally flexing my spine to the right, and then I turn my body and bring the club down, I'm essentially at what is close to an impact position. So you really do need lateral side bending to achieve a good impact position. I'll show that from the side. So I'm going to laterally side bend to the right, I'm going to rotate my chest to the left, I'm going to put the club down, and I'm in a really nice position for impact in the golf swing. My hips are sinking into the line, my legs are in a good spot, my pelvis is rotated, my chest is turned. So that's perfect. So the first stretch, again, arms overhead, feet shoulder width apart, stomach pulled in, side bending to the right, hold for about 5 seconds, take a deep breath, fill the lungs with air, and then fully exhale, bring it back up, and then do the same thing to the left. Feel free to go back and forth, 5 to 10 times. Just really working on loosening the body. You shouldn't be pushing so hard that you're in pain. Everything should feel very gentle. The next stretch, we're going to take the club, we're going to put it over our head, and we're going to slide behind our back. Now, if you have normal shoulder mobility, shoulder external rotation, you will be able to get the club behind your shoulder blades. If your shoulders are tight, it's going to be harder for you to get the club behind your shoulder blades. You're going to probably feel like the club is stuck on your neck. So if that's the case for you, what I'd like you to do is there's a stretch following this one that'll be really good to help improve your shoulder external rotation. Will help you with this stretch. So but I don't have a shoulder restriction, so I'm going to put the club behind my shoulder blades. I'm going to get into my golf spine angle, and I'm just going to work on turning right and left, just warming up that thoracic spine for rotation, keeping my lower body pretty still with this one, trying to create some separation between my upper body and my lower body. I'm feeling like I'm turning a little better to the right than I am to the left. I'm just trying to warm that up a little bit better. So the next stretch we're going to do is we're going to take the golf club. We're actually going to put the handle on the ground. We're going to hold on to the head, and we just warmed up upper body rotation. Now we're going to go to the lower body. So you're going to get backing away from the golf club. We're going to get into our golf setup, and I just want you to work on turning the hips. So upper body is going to stay pretty still. Now we're just working on rotating that pelvis right and left. If you look from the side, I'm trying to maintain a relatively neutral spine, keeping the hips back, not early extending. We're going to just kind of working on rotating around that plane. These rotational warm-ups are definitely warm-ups you can do practicing different speed changes, just to activate and engage the musculature that is going to be in charge of moving the body. The next stretch is the lat stretch. So we're going to take the golf club, same position, handle's going to be on the ground, you're going to hold on to the head, and you're going to back away from the club. So I'm not I'm totally vertical here. I'm in my golf setup here, but I'm gonna go beyond that, almost horizontal, and I'm really working on stretching my lats and my shoulders. So hands are on the head of the club, and I'm working on turning my hips right and left. I wanna make sure you can see this. So I'm turning my hips to the left, and that actually creates a stretch in the right lat. And then I'm gonna turn my hips to the right, stretching my left lat. Another angle, I'm straight on. You can see my hips are turning left, and I'm stretching the right side. And now I'm gonna push my hips to the right, and I'll be stretching the left side. Feels great. Definitely something that will help you while you're on the course if you're starting to get kind of tight in your swing. The next stretch we're gonna work on is a hamstring stretch. So you're gonna take the golf club, hold it in front of your body, resting on your legs. You're just gonna reach down your legs as far as you can, stretching the hamstrings and your low back. So what I like to see in my clients is you can get all the way down to the ground with straight knees, but if you can't, and let's say you're stuck here at mid-shin, feel free just to hold and take a few deep breaths, maybe 4 to 5 deep breaths, and then you can work on rotating to the left and rotating to the right. And then come back to the center and just come straight back up. Of course, during all of these stretches, I want your stomach pulled in, and I want you to use your glutes when you're raising yourself back up. We're going to transition from a hamstring stretch to a quad stretch. So we're going to take the golf club, we're going to set it on the ground in front of us, and you're going to grab your foot. So I'm going to grab my left foot with my left hand, and I'm just going to work on pulling my foot behind my body, trying to get this left knee behind my right leg just a little bit. If you have extremely tight quads and a tight knee joint, this will be really hard for you to do. What I like for my clients is that you're able to get the knee behind the opposite knee. So my left knee is behind my right knee, and my heel is touching my glute. That tells me that I have normal hip flexor and quadricep length, and my knee joint is nice and mobile. If you're someone that has a really restricted knee joint, I really like to use a chair with my clients. So you'll pull a chair out, still using the golf club for balance. So maybe you're on the golf course, there's a bench nearby, or your golf cart, something like that. Just go ahead and put your foot up on the bench and hold on to your club for balance. And you'll feel a nice stretch in the front of the leg and possibly the knee joint too. Just remember to keep the hips forward, and I don't really want you to bend, so try to stand nice and tall. If that's not enough of a stretch and holding your foot's too hard, you can just go to the other side of the bench where the back is a little bit higher, or you can grab a chair at home or the side of the sofa. That works pretty well too. And just put your foot a little bit higher, and you can see that heel's a little closer to the glute. Again, I'm trying to keep the knee behind the other knee to get a little bit better stretch on that quadricep. Once more, stomach is pulled in, glutes are tight, core is engaged. Really important. The next stretch we're going to work on is shoulder mobility. We mentioned that a few minutes ago. Shoulder mobility is really important in the golf swing to help you achieve the proper upper body positioning and keeping your club on plane. So the stretch that I really like to do is pretty simple. You just grasp the golf club between your thumb and your forefinger, draping the club along the back of the forearm, and you're going to grasp the club head with the opposite arm and pull forward. And when you pull forward with the opposite arm, you'll notice that the shoulder I'm stretching, my hand goes backward, and I'm stretching external rotation in that right shoulder right now. I'm going to hold for about 30 to 60 seconds, working on deep breathing. Stomach's pulled in, glutes are engaged. Nice, good stretch with dynamic core stability. And then of course I'll switch sides. I'm going to grasp the club to my thumb and forefinger, draping the club on the back of the forearm. I'm going to grab the club head with my right hand this time, and I'm going to stretch my left shoulder into external rotation. Good. Holding 30 to 60 seconds, stomach is sucked in, glutes are tight. Nice. We're going to move on to shoulder internal rotation. Shoulder internal rotation is a great stretch to do on the golf course. Shoulders get tight. You're going to hold the club behind your back. You're going to grasp the club head with that right hand. So I'm holding the club handle with my left, and I'm going to pull up with my left arm. That'll drag my right arm up my back. I'm getting a really nice shoulder internal rotation stretch. If you're a right-handed golfer, typically the right shoulder will be tighter than the left, so you want to make sure you focus on that right side. And of course, this is not supposed to be painful, so if you have any sort of shoulder pain while doing this stretch, need to back off. Lower the club and just work on deep breathing. Fill the lungs, fully exhale slowly, and that'll help release some of the tightness in that shoulder joint. Of course, we're going to switch hands. So I'm going to take the club over the right shoulder now. Club is hanging behind the back. I'm going to grab the club head with my left hand, and I'm just going to use my right arm to pull my left hand up my back, stretching my left shoulder. And again, if this causes any sort of pain, I'm just going to drop that hand down to the point where it's just a stretch and is no longer painful. The next stretch we're going to work on is something that I learned from Titleist years ago. It's called Cervical Stars. So it's a great neck stretching exercise. You're going to stand with your feet about shoulder width apart, and with your chin, we're going to drop the chin down toward the chest, stretching the back of the neck. And then we're going to bring the chin up, and I'm going to rotate a little bit to the right, and I'm going to bring my chin down to my collarbone this time. And remember to keep your mouth closed. I'm talking right now, so it's kind of hard, but you're going to keep the mouth closed. Touching the collarbone, and then bring your head back up, rotating back forward, and then to about 45 degrees. Bring the chin down to the collarbone, bring the chin back up, rotate the head forward, and then lateral flexion. Trying to touch the earlobe to the shoulder, which of course isn't going to happen, but that's just the general idea. Bringing the head up and then going to the left. Good, then bring the head up, and the last one we're going to do is we're actually going to slide the head back. So I'm going to slide the head back and then tip. And then tuck, and then slide the head back forward. Feel free to go through that rotation a couple of times. The next stretch we're going to do is called the sleeper stretch. Sleeper stretch is one of my favorite stretches for shoulder mobility at home. This is one that you probably wouldn't do on the golf course, but you're going to get down on the ground and lie on your right shoulder, so your upper arm is sticking straight out from the body. You're going to grab with your elbow bent to 90 degrees, you're going to grab the back of your right hand, and you're just going to slowly push your hand down toward the ground. If you can get to 50 degrees, you're doing well. If you can get to 70, you're doing really well, and this should never be painful. So if you are experiencing sharp pain of any kind, you have to back off and just find that gentle stretch point. So for me, my shoulder's a little tight today, I'll be honest with you. Right about there is probably a really nice gentle stretch, and that's a spot that I could hold for 60 seconds without too much discomfort. If I go further than that, I might start to develop into a pain towards the end of the stretch, so I want to avoid that. The other thing that people do to kind of cheat with this exercise is they slowly drop the elbow into the body, or they push the hand out away from the body, or they like roll up and kind of back. It's kind of strange. So you want to keep the upper body pretty still. Elbow should be sticking straight out from the body, bent to 90 degrees. This is a gentle push down gently until you feel a soft stretch, just an easy stretch, and just hold it there. That's called a sleeper stretch. The next stretch we're going to do is the open book stretch, and I really like this one prior to golf. You're going to hold your knee down with your right arm lying on your right side, and with your left arm you're just going to open up your chest, stretching the body. Goal is to try to flatten your back against the ground while keeping your knee down. If it's a little bit too intense, you can bring both knees up so your legs are stacked. You can do the same stretch, and you certainly don't have to feel like you need to go all the way. A lot of guys and gals I notice only get to about here, but if you have more mobility, of course you're going to try to open up all the way. And I just want you to work on deep breathing, so really fill your lungs and then fully exhale. And then the last stretch we're going to work on is called, it's a hip internal rotation stretch, and hip internal rotation is probably one of the biggest deficits that I see in golfers. So you're going to sit on the ground with your legs in this type of a position. So my knee is at 90 degrees. The relationship between my left thigh and my right thigh is 90 degrees. And of course my right knee is 90 degrees. Then I'm going to take my left hand and I'm just going to reach behind me, leaning back. And that'll actually stretch my left hip for internal rotation. It's a great stretch. I've been doing it for years. And it's a wonderful way to help improve hip internal rotation on the left leg. And of course, to do the opposite leg, we just switch sides. And the main thing with this stretch is that you really work on maintaining these 90-degree relationships, and that'll really help to give you a good stretch in your hip. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below or reach out to me directly. I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.